Hello everyone, welcome to the Hope Calls YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be bringing through messages and healing from beyond the veil, specifically benevolent forces that have your best interests at heart, that reside beyond the veil of 3D perception, such as divine forces, angelic forces, passed on loved ones, any and all manner of spirit guide. The forces unseen that have our best interests at heart and that want to bring through messages of guidance, advice, encouragement, and vibrations of healing and energetic shifts that you might be able to take with you after this reading today. So using the Frequency Tarot deck, I've laid out 3 cards that I pulled at random that called to me. The first one being Frequency 52, Reveal the Mystery. Pile 2 being Frequency 34, Organization. And Pile 3 being Frequency 27 in reverse, Higher Purpose. So we'll use some of the written descriptions in the book about these frequency paintings, as well as using some other tarot and oracle cards as a focus point for the channeling that I will be doing today. So go ahead and navigate to the timestamps in the description below, and I will see you at your reading. Welcome to Pile 1, Reveal the Mystery, Frequency 52, and the Frequency Tarot booklet says, no matter whether you have drawn this card upright or in reverse, the universe has been trying to give you an answer. You have simply not been in a place where you can hear it. Ask a question right here and now. Close your eyes and focus on that question. Feel yourself opening up with a readiness and wanting to know the answer. When you feel that you are ready without thinking about it, now this is something you can do on your own after this reading or during, it says, walk over to a bookcase and let yourself be drawn to a specific book. Open that book and let it fall open to whatever page it naturally opens to. Now let your gaze be drawn to the specific sentence or paragraph that stands out to you. Read the words being offered to you as an answer. It may seem cryptic, but try to understand how the message you have just been led to contains all or part of the answer to your question. So I love that the frequency of this painting can shine upon our reading as an encouragement for this reading to reveal the mystery of your asking to you today. And I love that tip about the book as something that you can do on your own, but it's also something I did before starting this reading. I read the description in the Frequency Tarot booklet, and I felt drawn to a book off my bookshelf, and I opened it to page 71, where the Chapter 8 begins with the sentence, she was falling. She was falling. And funnily enough, I have no idea exactly when I did this, but I left a card from the Legendary Affirmations card deck in that book as a bookmark. And it says, I am the person I was meant to become. And this is Chapter 8 in the book Vortex Visions by Elise Kova. Love this series. But I think both of those might be messages that we'll find out more about as we move through this reading. I am the person I was meant to become. She was falling. Reveal the mystery. Together, these 3 puzzle pieces are already giving me a sense that you are in a phase with some aspect of your life or multiple aspects of your life where you don't know where you are or where you're going exactly. It feels like falling, but the reassurance from the universe here, from our benevolent forces beyond the veil, is that this falling is a falling into place. You are already the person you were meant to become. There is nothing wrong with the uncertainty that you are experiencing right now. It is part of you continuing to become the person you are meant to become in all your phases. So let's go to the Naked Heart Tarot for more steps in our guidance and answers for you here. That's already a beautiful message of reassurance from the universe that it's okay to breathe and relax, even as things fall away and as they fall into place. So let's see what messages the tarot have for us. Right away, this one, we have the Seven of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. The Ace of Cups. The Heart of Pentacles. The Sage. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn these upright so that you can see them properly. I will remember to take into account that they came out in reverse, but I find that sometimes that is relevant in more ways than others. And then we have the Two of Cups coming out right under the Ace of Cups. How fascinating. And I'm feeling one more card from this deck, the Movement of Wands. All right, beautiful. And then I'm pulling a tea leaf oracle card here. Angels, spiritual guidance, protection from harm. What a beautiful reaffirmation of what came through about the falling as a falling into place as part of you being the person you are meant to become. I love that for you. All right. So the Seven of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Sage, the Heart of Pentacles, and the Movement of Wands. I'm going to double check what the movement and the heart in this deck are. All right, so the movement is the Knight and the heart is the Queen. I just wanted to double check before I said anything to make sure that I didn't get that wrong, as it can be very easy to mix those things up. All right. Okay, beautiful. So immediately the Seven of Swords having come out first does go along with the sense of things that are yet to be revealed and yet to be seen, things that are yet unseen, especially it coming out right next to reveal the mystery. And it does go along with that sense of uncertainty that we were getting from she was falling and reveal the mystery. That sense of not being quite sure yet what the unseen forces are and whether the sneaking is positive forces sneaking in your benefit or something sneaking behind your back. And I do feel the sense of reassurance from the Angel card and from some of these other cards here that it's okay. You're going to be protected from anything that is sneaking behind your back. And there are unseen forces working in your favor. That is a lesser seen interpretation of the Seven of Swords, but one that I have seen before and used before myself and been drawn to myself. And I see this beautiful ray of sunlight bisecting our Reveal the Mystery card, showing that there is light coming to what is still in shadow, and that it's okay that it feels like so much is still in shadow. Now, the Heart of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, having initially come out in reverse, does suggest that there could be some resistance you might be feeling to letting go of what previously gave you certainty and letting yourself fall and slide into the new phase of this aspect of your life. Especially if there's any sense of fear of failure or fear of loss, especially on the material plane. So there's a reassurance from the Queen of Pentacles that it is okay to let go, that you will not lose what truly matters, and that it's okay to ground in what truly matters to you, so that anything else that is lost or transformed can be seen as something that you are transmuting as part of your evolution, your phoenixing into the next stage, rather than as something you are losing permanently. There's a message here that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is always, always in a process of transformation. And anything, whether it's physical or non-physical, things like approval and respect, or things like money and status, or things like connection with certain other people, anything that can be lost by the falling away of what you are not meant to be and become can only be lost as part of transmuting the energy you were putting into it. Apologies, the video cut out there for a second, but what I was saying was that the energy of any energy you've been putting into things that are no longer serving you will be transmuted for your highest and best good and into a higher form of that energy when those things are allowed to fall away and you place your attention, focus, and energy and pour it into new things, or not even necessarily new things, but other things that do serve you and feed you back, that do nourish you, that do pour back into you. This language around pouring into you that I'm mentioning brings me back to the Ace of Cups, especially where it came out in reverse, and where we do have in this particular card this imagery of this vine-like tentacle holding the Ace of Cups. And yet we also have an entire wave of the ocean showing up metaphorically inside the cup. So where it came out in reverse, it reinforces the imagery we were also getting from the other cards about a certain fear, reluctance, or resistance coming up to letting the plates fall. A fear of what will be spilled, what will be lost. But I do see a dual message here of there being also numerous, like an abundance, an ocean of waves waiting to pour into your cup. Not even waiting, but simply ready. They're not going anywhere. They're not impatiently waiting. They're ready for you to dip your cup into those waves as soon as you are ready to. And another dual message also with that vine-like tentacle of there may be certain things of value that you are scared are going to get lost in the shuffle, lost in the transformation that you're undergoing right now, that you actually will be able to save. And some of those might undergo a transformation process as well and look different on the other side. With this Ace of Cups coming out over the Two of Cups, some of the connections that you're in, the Two of Cups being a card of connection, especially romantic connection, some of the connections you're in may not look the same on the other side of your transformation. But there's a message here that what is truly of value will actually be saved and salvaged, even if it's transmuted. And anything that is lost is actually meant to be lost to make way for what will enrich your life more and be more part of the person you are meant to become. Any transformation here is part of redirection as protection from harm. Now, you do have an active part to play in this. The Two of Pentacles is a card of choice, and many interpretations of the Seven of Swords also use the Seven of Swords as a reminder to make choices with integrity and looking at the bigger picture and not looking for a quick fix in the moment that might involve taking resources from where in the bigger picture they would serve you better. And the Two of Pentacles is not only a card of balance, but also of really grounding yourself and making clear choices, bringing clarity to your mind space, soothing your nervous system. That will allow you to zoom out to the bigger picture so that any choices that are in front of you right now, you can make from that grounded place. Now that also brings me back to a connection with the imagery in this particular Sage card. The Sage card in this deck is the Hierophant. And with that having come out in reverse, there was this sense of uprooting, of upheaval that has come up again and again in the imagery and the messages of your reading. And I just want to say also, I want to take this moment to say that if you are feeling any overwhelm or upheaval in your life, I see you, I feel you, I know how hard that is. So I really want to take a moment to honor that, because I know that any holding on or trying to stay on your feet you've been doing, that can take a lot out of you, and that you've been doing your best to try to protect yourself, no matter what that's looked like, no matter how well it's worked, or where you might feel like you fumbled a bit in that. So that the way that the Sage card did come out does reflect that. But this imagery of rooting, especially with it having come out under the Two of Pentacles, which is the biggest card about choices here, does suggest grounding as where to make your choices from. And not only general grounding in terms of soothing your nervous system, getting outside in nature, those are super important, but also specifically grounding in what is really important to you. If you are struggling to make a choice right now, as you go through this transitional phase or this period of your life, if you're struggling to make a choice, simplify and clarify by coming back to what your priorities are, what is most important to you, what your values are. And that will guide you. And that brings us to the Movement of Wands, the Knight of Wands. This particular card has this imagery, almost like a dartboard, of the wand aiming for its bullseye, for its target. And you might not know exactly what your target is that you're aiming for right now. Or it might not seem like there's a clear path to get to it, a straight shot for your arrow, if you do know what that target is. And that imagery with the concentric circles there can also, looking at that, can feel like getting sucked into a vortex, like in old-fashioned cartoons, where at the beginning they might have that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown with the swirling vortex in the background. Or sometimes optical illusions have that imagery as well. So I'm also seeing and feeling a reminder from this card. If things are swirling, if it feels like you're getting sucked into chaotic movement, take some deep breaths, pull back, get back in touch with the bigger picture. Do whatever works for you personally to soothe your nervous system, clear your mind, clear your thoughts of any external voices that are crowding them, any fears of what you might lose that are crowding them. That particular element or factor as something that might push you into a decision that in the big picture is not right for you is a really, really big theme in this reading that's really being highlighted by my spirit guides. Don't let that fear distract you from or cloud what you're really working towards. You've put in so much work, I'm hearing my spirit guides say. Do not let fear cause you to pull back from something you've poured so much work into when you know exactly why it's worth so much to you, why you've worked so hard. You can find your clear shot for your arrow to hit its target, and I'm hearing there's nothing holding you back. And part of what you might go to soothe your nervous system, and have your fears assuaged. Yes, part of it might be internal work, shadow work, confronting those fears. That's always very important. And that is a message, an imagery that I'm seeing in our Reveal the Mystery card and in our Two of Pentacles, where you have kind of this light and shadow, yin and yang dynamic of balance in the Two of Pentacles. It's worth bringing light to the shadows of why you're fearing what you're fearing. And that is part of what Reveal the Mystery embodies, is going into the shadow to reveal the mysteries of your own fears and subconscious. But with the Two of Cups here and the Ace of Cups, I think equally or perhaps even more than the shadow work, you specifically are being called to go towards things that fill your cup and provide you nourishment, so that you can make any decision you're making from a place of like, I feel rested, I feel nourished, I feel as good and grounded and stable and rooted and fed as I can within any limitations the current circumstances are imposing on my ability to really fully be relaxed. And from there, I can make a wise decision that I know will further that sense of flow in my life, that sense of being fed and poured into. And with the Two of Cups here also, I am also seeing that going to the people who fill up your cup is a really, really important resource for you to draw on right now, so that maybe it's another perspective you need, or maybe it's just reassurance that no matter which choice you make, the people who matter most to you are still going to love you, are still going to see you as the person you are meant to be, and still going to be part of this journey with you. And those connections, the approval, the respect, the love, are not going to be lost. That is feeling just really important for some of you who might be listening to this, to hear that it's actually okay to go to the people in your life for reassurance. And that people, I'm feeling a really strong message, hearing a really strong message that some of you are scared to go to the people in your life, and that they're actually going to surprise you. They're going to be happy to reassure you. And part of what we were talking about before with what is meant to fall away will fall away, and the energy we're pouring into it will always be transmuted into what's best for you and for the universe. That is sometimes something that I find I need to accept in order to bring my fears to other people. I need to ground myself in knowing if they don't respond in a caring way, that is a reflection of their capacity in this moment to respond in a caring way, and not that I am not worthy of that care. So if that is something you need to remind yourself, that the investment you have in this connection can be something that you choose to pull back from if people are repeatedly not able to provide reassurance, not willing to affirm love. That's something you can do, but some people really truly will surprise you with their not only willingness but eagerness, enthusiasm, happiness. They'll be glad, they'll be relieved that you were willing to be vulnerable with them, be authentic with them, and let them help. That's a really big message here. And I gotta say, that is feeling really complete here. And I'm going to shuffle and pull another tea leaf card. Actually, I was thinking I would need to shuffle more, but right away after I split the deck, it immediately jumped out at me, and I do see that message of reassurance and of wow. I was just saying and thinking that seeking reassurance is a key to reducing your stress in this situation and letting the next steps be clarified for you. And I do see that if you seek reassurance from those who are truly supportive, truly have your best interests at heart, and that if you take those other steps about filling your cup and making a decision from a clear, grounded, abundant, faithful, trusting place, you will be able to find that successful outcome, that straight shot for your arrow. I really truly wish you the best, Pile 1. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope the messages have landed in a way that is helpful and beneficial for you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy Halloween. I'm filming this on Halloween. It's not going to be Halloween by the time you see it. But happy All Souls Day, All Saints Day, happy Samhain, happy fall, happy holiday season for those who celebrate, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hello, beautiful Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. This is your reading if you chose Frequency 34, the Organization Frequency Painting from the Frequency Tarot deck. And as I was organizing between Pile 1 and Pile 2, the angel card from the Tea Leaf Oracle that came off the top of the Tea Leaf Oracle deck when I was reading for Pile 1 really wanted to stay out and watch over your reading. So I'm going to place her up here as your sign that you are protected right now. Spiritual guidance and protection from harm is what this reading says, and the candle on that card is really jumping out at me as this guiding light and beacon in the darkness that might be surrounding any aspect of your life right now. The figure in that card's image is focused quite intently on that candle, and I have this sense of you, Pile 2, finding your focus amidst fog or darkness or confusion, your beacon or lighthouse that will guide you through. So I'm really excited about that. The organization card's description in the Frequency Tarot booklet does say that the time has come for you to get more organized, that some aspect of your life or your productivity might be being inhibited by a lack of organization at this time. And more importantly, it advises you to organize according to the things you feel are most important. Get clear about your priorities, your actual priorities, not just what you think your priorities should be. And that might be picking your 3 most important tasks, or it might be zooming out more than that and picking, like diving into your heart, your root, your gut, and going, what do I value most in general? And what are the top priorities at this time of my life? And using that guiding light to really simplify and align your next steps with those values, those priorities. Do whatever you need to do to block out the noise of what other people might be telling you you should be doing. Just like this figure in the angel card who's focused so intently and so calmly on the flame on that candle that anything could be happening outside the bubble. It doesn't matter. She has a North Star, or they have a North Star. And following that beacon, it doesn't matter what slings and arrows might be happening outside of the bubble that North Star focus creates. I find that when the focus I have is really aligned to what's truly important to me on a heart level, on a gut level, it becomes very natural for any distractions to fall away. Anytime they do get in my face, for me to simply put them aside and focus back on that North Star. So that message of simplifying and clarifying is the biggest message from the booklet and the organization card. And the imagery on the angel card is really speaking to me about that. And the booklet on the organization card does also remind you that if you are overwhelmed, it's okay to admit it. If you've bitten off more than one person can chew, it's not a personal failing. It's okay to ask for help, to delegate. And admitting that you've bitten off more than one person can chew isn't about you having some sort of deficit or some sort of limitations that are abnormal. It's simply normal for any person to have limitations, and it's okay. It's okay to admit that. It doesn't make you lesser in any way. So those are the messages coming through right away from those cards. I also have another frequency tarot that is calling out to me to be pulled for your pile. Uniqueness, 24. It did come off the top of the deck in reverse, and this booklet does have different meanings often for the reverse and the upright. So let's take a look at what we are getting from this. I do just want to say, before I even look at the description in the booklet, that the just gorgeous, vivid rainbow of colors coming off this uniqueness card is just so incredible. And it does remind me of how the messages we got from the organization and the angel cards spoke to allowing your focus to stay single-mindedly on what's of most value to you and most important to you, and not being distracted by what others' messaging might tell you you should do, or what old conditioning might tell you should do. And I get this feeling from the just spilling forth of the rainbow of colors in the uniqueness card, that messaging from others or from the past about what you should do and what you should be, and this goes along with that message about you not being lesser for any limitations you have either. You're also not lesser for your uniqueness. Messaging from the past or from others might have taught you to box up your uniqueness. Funny that the imagery on these two cards is so different as well, right? Organizations imagery and uniqueness's imagery. I think a secondary message that's coming from the contrast in those imageries is that parts of you may have been boxed away. Uniqueness may have been seen as a bad thing or even a lesser thing, something that made you less than the people around you. Specific things that made you unique may have been used against you in that way in the past. There may even be voices currently in your life or just in society that are giving you that message. And now is a time for you to take a look from a calm, grounded perspective at what is most important and of most value to you, and to see how those aspects of you that you may have been shamed for are actually a utility in pursuing what is most important to you. They're actually an integral part of aligning your life with what is most important to you, allowing that uniqueness to overflow and spill forth and radiate. And it doesn't have to be all at once. When you go through sort of unboxing things that you packed away in the face of shame in the past, sometimes it does feel like things sort of overflow, like a closet that's been stuffed full in a comedy. But sometimes it is this very tender unboxing one at a time. And it's okay to handle these things with care, to handle yourself with care. It's okay to be a little tentative about this process. It's also okay for some overflow and spilling to happen. There's no wrong way to go about this, is the message that I'm hearing loud and clear from my spirit guides here. But being more authentically you and taking down some of the shields that have been in place around certain parts of your authenticness, your personal truth, is going to be a really big part of finding your North Star and walking towards it. In fact, how can you truly know what's most important to you if you are in denial of some aspect of your personal truth? So this is probably going to be an evolving process for you, where as you go towards what is most important to you right now, you're going to unwrap parts of you that you maybe haven't been in touch with for a while. And that might cause your definition of what's most important to you to expand or shift in some way. And that might trigger more parts of you to be unwrapped and unfold. And that's a good thing. That change is almost certainly going to have moments where it feels scary. Moments where calling it scary feels like the understatement of the year. And having that touchstone that you keep returning to of, I am making my choices in alignment with what's most important to me, is going to allow you to feel like you have something keeping you steady in stormy seas, in confusion amidst maybe conflict of opinions between other people, or between yourself and other people, or between your present voice of inner truth and the past voices of people who might have imposed other overlays over your personal truth and stood against it. So the uniqueness card's description in this Frequency Tarot booklet says, if you have drawn this card upright, it is time to break the mold. It is often frightening to be authentic and show yourself completely as the unique individual that you are. But it is time to be yourself. This life is not about fitting in and validating other people's choices. It's about choosing what's right for you. You are like a puzzle piece, and each puzzle piece is unique. If you continue to try to mimic those that have come before you, the puzzle will never be complete. Express your unique personality to the world. What do you really like? What do you really want? Every chrysalis must become a butterfly. And wow, that part about continuing to try to mimic those that have come before you, my spirit guides really highlighted that for me and showed me that there might be people, for some of you who are watching this pile, there might be people whose respect or approval you worry you might lose as a consequence of being yourself. But the truth is that being your best self is different from someone else being their best self. And trying to be the best someone else you can be is never going to go to your North Star. It's never going to lead you in that direction the way that being your best authentic self can be. And anyone whose respect is lost by you seeking to be your best self and your truth, I'm struggling to put this into words because there's a real message of their respect was not worth what you thought it was in the first place. There's that saying, if it can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. So their respect and approval may have been just utterly crucial and pivotal to you at a certain point in time, but it might not be worth that anymore. In fact, the message that I'm hearing from my spirit guides is there is nothing that is worth the expensive price of shutting away parts of yourself to leave them to suffocate in the darkness. There's nothing that's worth that. That price is too expensive. That's a really strong message that I'm feeling is coming from your higher self and your core through my spirit guides to me. Wow. The message for the reverse version of the uniqueness card in this booklet says, if you've drawn this card in reverse, you are hiding what makes you unique. You are trying to avoid conflict by fitting in and not causing a stir. Your low self-esteem will continue as long as you keep sending yourself the message that the real you is not worth showing. So I'm just going to pause in the middle of reading that to affirm how much that particular message is standing out, where the cause of our low self-esteem is pretty much without fail the way other people treated us when we were children. But the resolution to that self-esteem, the way we bolster that as adults, involves finding people who value us for what is truly excellent about us, where those same things may not have much value to the people we were around when we were children. The things that are unique about us, the things that stand out about us, may have been devalued, but there are actually other people who value those things. So it does involve finding those things. It also involves sending ourselves the message. And that might mean having conversations between your child self and your adult self, but it also might simply mean speaking to yourself in the present, or organizing how you conduct yourself around the principle of, I treat myself like I am worth every last bit of gold in this universe, because I know every human soul is priceless, and what mine has to offer has just as real a value as anyone else's, no matter how much above myself I have seen those people as in the past, their soul and mine have the same weight in the eyes of Source, in the eyes of this universe, in the scales. I'm getting a picture of Anubis with his scales weighing the heart of an individual who's just passed on against a feather to see its purity. And I'm getting the message strongly to let the sandbags fall away from the hot air balloon of your heart so that you can rise. These walls around your heart, around your authentic self, it's okay if they don't fall away all at once. It's also okay if sometimes it feels like they are falling away at once and it's all messy. Sometimes it might be one, sometimes it might be the other, sometimes it might be both at the same time. But that weight around your heart was never yours to carry, and it isn't now. Sometimes in my process of healing, I have felt like I am actually going to dump this weight that someone in my childhood handed me back at their doorstep. And sometimes that doesn't, most of the time, that doesn't involve any interaction with them in the present. Sometimes it does. It's okay to tell them to their face. But it also doesn't have to. All it means is shifting that weight off of yourself and making decisions that do not involve picking it back up in any way. So the rest of this description in the book that goes, be honest with yourself about what you really like and dislike, what you really want and do not want. Who are you deep inside? Never has there been someone just like you in the world. You are not redundant, so stop acting like you are. Something I have heard spiritual teachers say is that the universe does not like redundance. It would never have made you a carbon copy of someone else. There is so much treasure to be found in seeking to unfold the mystery of what you are instead of seeking to conform yourself to be like someone else. And it's opposite energetic movements and feelings as well. The feeling of constriction, of trying to mold yourself to like the cookie cutter or the cupcake tin or the sculpture mold of the blueprint you've seen from someone else, versus that is like a constricting, a packing it in, versus the outward unpacking and unfolding of the origami swan. Like a spring uncoiling of turning towards yourself and going, what's in there actually? What do I find if I let this part of me unfold? And again, that message is coming through of it's okay that sometimes it'll feel like this slow, tender, careful, cautious, tentative unfolding. And it's also okay that sometimes it's going to feel like, oh my god, yards of fabric just unspooled and I don't even know where it came from. I don't even know where those all fit before. I need to scream into my pillow and cry in the shower, and it's okay. And the last part of the description in the guidebook for uniqueness is you are betraying yourself by holding yourself back. That's again those reverse energetic movements and feelings I was talking about, holding yourself back versus letting yourself pour out, letting it go. A message that my guides have given me repeatedly throughout myself is that the only thing you need to quit, they've told me, is holding back and holding it in. I was trying to quit all these different habits, and I was like, what's wrong with me? And I said, Lord, excuse me, the only thing you need to quit is holding back and holding in. And part of that message from them was how exhausting it is, and the last part of this guidebook is, it is exhausting pretending to be anyone but you. Let yourself discover the unique person that you are, and then show that unique person to the world. So part of what my guides were saying when they were like, Lord, the only thing you need to quit is holding back, is they were like, a lot of these coping mechanisms that you have are coping with the exhaustion of trying constantly expending all of your energy on trying to force yourself into a shape that is so unnatural and so tiny compared to the expanse and the expansive reality of you. It's like trying to cram the ocean into a cup. And so there was so much from my guides then about that, and there was so much coming through with such vivacity and vividness for you about that. This is not a time right now to hold yourself back at all. I'm feeling guided to pull a little from my Garden Dragons deck. And on the bottom of the deck right away is the Zucchini Dragon with Diversify. And I'm feeling called to pull one more card, so I've cut the deck here, and the next one that's coming out is the Coffee card, Energy. The Coffee Dragon, look how cute they are. I can't get over that with this deck. So immediately that message about how exhausting it is to hold back and pretend is being reaffirmed here. There is energy that you have either never felt since you were a little kid running around feeling inexhaustible, or maybe never felt before at all, that you have no idea you have access to, that is just waiting to be uncorked. There is so much pep and verve and zeal for what truly matters to you that just cannot wait to be uncorked. And there's so much excitement. I just bumped the table in my excitement and bumped the camera. And this message of Diversify immediately under the Zucchini Dragon is also saying, like, dare to be different. There's this butterfly as well in the Zucchini Dragon card, reminding us of that message from the uniqueness booklet, the Frequency Tarot booklet about uniqueness, about how every chrysalis must become a butterfly. This is such a lovely butterfly, but it doesn't look the same as a monarch or a swallowtail. This looks very similar to a zebra longwing, but it might not be a zebra longwing. I am not an expert on butterflies. I just know a few. But it being not a monarch or not those bright blue butterflies we see in the emojis doesn't make it any less. And similarly, zucchini, most of us are only familiar with the vegetable and not with the beautiful flowers that come from the zucchini plant. And is that flower worth less than something we cultivate for its flowers, just because we typically only cultivate the plant for the vegetable? Maybe it's okay to love and exalt both the vegetable and the flower on the plant that is you. And similarly, that zucchini vegetable is going to taste really different depending on whether you cook it in an Italian dish or an Asian dish, you know, with soy sauce versus tomato sauce. The diversity within you is essential. There are other people who are looking for exactly that butterfly, exactly that flower, exactly that vegetable, that sustenance, those nutrients that you have to offer. In fact, that energy from the Coffee Dragon card that is waiting for you to draw on, it's going to give other people energy too. It's going to light other people's fire, to go back to that candle in the angel card. And oh, look, there are flowers in the angel card. How funny. I wasn't even thinking about that before. But those are different flowers from the Zucchini Dragon flowers, and no less beautiful for it. The angel figure in the angel card also looks like they could be dancing, even though they're holding this flame with such focus. Every person's dance is different. And there is enough energy lying corked up in the suppressed parts of you to make you dance and to inspire other people to dance. Other people need to see your unique dance. Doesn't have to be literal dance or song. For some of you it might be. For some of you it might be, I was told to sit still and shut up, but actually I want to sit and sing and dance. And you going to that dance class, no one there is going to be laughing at you. There might be some people that you get to laugh with and share the bounty of energy and diverse creativity with. And it would be a downright shame for you and those people to miss out on that. Those people, you never know, might be waiting exactly for someone just like you. And I'm so touched and moved and really feeling this message myself. I can't wait for you to find those people. The amount of color, the rainbow of color that you and those people are going to bring to each other's life is unbelievable. Taking those blinders off that were put on you in the past by other people's opinions, and that it might feel like society is enforcing and adding more weight to every day. You have choices there about facing fears, and gently or fiercely or both pulling off those weights and those blinders. And it might feel like taking off sunglasses and seeing colors you've never seen before. And I can't wait. I'm taking a look at the Zucchini Dragon in the Garden Dragons Field Guidebook. And it mentions the bright gold breastplate, which for me reinforces the message of protection from harm from this angel card. There are multiple layers to this protection. Multiple layers. One, you are older than you were, and wiser and smarter and stronger than you could possibly have been as a small child. You have abilities, capacities, ways to protect yourself you simply did not have. It didn't mean you were weak. It didn't mean you were somehow deficient or not strong enough. That's not what I'm trying to say when I say that you have strength you didn't have as a child. I'm simply saying you have access to ways to protect yourself and remove yourself from situations that you couldn't have actually removed yourself from without being left to fend yourself at an age when you wouldn't have survived that. You would not have survived fending for yourself. So you have the ability to protect yourself while displaying your uniqueness in ways that you didn't have as a child. The only way to protect yourself in certain situations was to hide unique parts of you that were being shamed or criticized. But now if you are around someone who is criticizing you or shaming you for those things, you actually have ways to speak up to them, to remove yourself from the situation, to remind them that it's not okay to talk down to people and make them feel less than or belittle them, to remove yourself from relationships, to call on other beings, people who function as mediators in workplaces, things like that, management, HR. I'm not feeling that message as highlighted as the message is about standing up for yourself or removing yourself from the situation, but sometimes the way to do that is to involve other people, so it's okay if that's the case, even if it means litigation in some cases. But the other layer that is really coming up for me here is also that rejection is divine protection. So that part about removing yourself from situations, when you expose the uniqueness of yourself, you expose other people's reactions to it, and you actually empower yourself to protect yourself from people that you might not actually have known were not your people if you hadn't shown that part of yourself and seen how they reacted to it. This is a really key part in healing the inner child and empowering yourself, discovering and drawing on your own power, is realizing that when someone reacts a certain way to you, it doesn't mean anything about your worth. It doesn't mean anything about you at all. It does indicate something about whether you and this person are in alignment with each other, compatible with each other, and good for each other. It indicates what you might need to address with this person in order to find out, hey, can we continue to have a relationship? Can you address with me how this thing you said was maybe hurtful or not respectful? Or if you're not willing to do that, okay, we're gonna have to part ways in some capacity. So remembering that rejection or reaction is divine protection and a signal to you about, okay, what do I need to do to clear the air with this person, and find out if we're able to grow together or if it's time for us to grow apart. That's a really strong message here. There's also the Garden Dragon guidebook, Field Guide, is a really fun guidebook. It treats itself like it is a guidebook to a bunch of dragons. It gives you, things like habitat and field notes. So there's a message in the field notes about how this zucchini dragon is closely related to the squash dragon. So this reminds me of the message from before about finding your spirit family that you might not have thought you even had before. You might have felt that you were alone. The field notes say, long thought to be a completely separate species, it has recently been determined that this dragon is actually very closely related to the squash dragon. So you might have thought you were just completely different and unlike everyone else around you, everyone else in the world, and putting yourself in these situations where it is actually safe, knowing as an adult that you are able to discern where it is safe for you to reveal aspects of yourself and where it's not, putting yourself in the situations where it is and doing so can lead you to find people who are way more like you than you ever thought was possible. That is a big message here. The field notes also say researchers are in debates as to whether there is enough genetic difference for it to be separate from the squash. So you might even find people that feel like they're truly cut from the same cloth, truly kindred spirits. And then it finishes, like the pumpkin and the watermelon dragons, this is another species, the zucchini dragon, that can grow to extremely large sizes. So that is just such a great message to me, because when we are made to pack away parts of ourselves, we can feel so small. When people belittle us, we can feel so small. And it doesn't always feel at first expansive and liberating to start liberating these aspects of ourselves that have been packed away. Starting to trip over my words in my excitement to speak your messages through. And it can feel, again, like, because those inner children within ourselves need rescue, it can feel like we are powerless, like we are still small and trapped. But it's time for you to show those parts of you the way forward. It's time for you to show them growth and expansion and liberation. By rescuing those parts of you, by validating your own worth, by putting yourself in safe situations, protecting yourself, by removing yourself from unsafe situations, by exposing your truth in small doses at first to kind of put feelers out there. You can begin to expand and begin to really feel like, wow, I'm big enough to protect myself. I am not small. And these things that I thought made me lesser and made me smaller, less than, are actually strengths. Things that I can expand upon and grow and invigorate and protect other people with, like we talked about with the coffee dragon. Similarly, the mystical meaning that the zucchini dragon guidebook mentions says, being overly focused on one thing may not be your best bet right now. The zucchini dragon is a reminder to expand your realm of influence. Being an expert at one thing may not be sufficient for your current climate. Where can you expand your talents? You can upgrade yourself by taking a class that helps you stretch yourself, diversify in what you do. And that to me really feels like a confirmation of what we talked about before with putting yourself in new environments, putting focus on parts of yourself that you haven't done before, expanding and diversifying is part of how you're going to let this uniqueness unfold and find your people, expanding your realm of influence, literally putting yourself in different realms than you have before. It even mentioned taking a class in here. You might feel drawn to really learn about something that you never did before, or change career paths, or gear up for changing career paths. Maybe you feel that what you've become an expert in, maybe there are aspects of it that you enjoyed, but maybe it was something that you were doing to tailor yourself to fit someone else's expectations. And there is an itch, a yearning inside you to develop another part of yourself, a creative part of yourself, whether it's entrepreneurship or art. Music and dance are coming through strongly like they were before. Those things are worth developing, and the fact that they're completely different from what you've been doing or what you're used to or what you are already an expert in is actually a good thing. It's actually a good sign. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, you're gonna maybe not be so good at it at first. That's part of learning something new. You don't get good at something without starting off as a beginner and being really bad at it at first. And that's actually a good sign. If you feel like you're in an environment where you're messing up the thing that you're trying to learn and get better at, that's a really good sign that you're moving in the right direction when you are trying to unfold suppressed aspects of yourself. Remember to take that as a positive sign instead of as something that is meaning something negative about yourself. And that's another theme in this reading, is kind of rewiring the pathways in your mind so that when someone else has that rejection reaction, or when inside you're flinching away from having quote unquote messed up something or failed or not been amazing at something the first time you tried it, rewiring to go, wait a second, that's actually the point. What is actually working in my favor about that person telling me up front that they don't like the same things I like, or they don't like this thing about me? What's actually serving me about that? Well, I can choose different people to be around. I can stand up for myself and validate for my inner child that they were actually always worth standing up for, even if no one did when I was a kid. I can offer a different perspective to the voices inside me that are trying to protect myself by putting me down, and show them, actually, this thing having been messed up actually doesn't mean I'm worthless. Are you willing to look at other interpretations of the situation with me, child self? Are you willing to join me in that? And making the parts of yourself that are trying to protect you feel safe as you move through these uncomfortable new waters. Yeah. So I was definitely expecting more cards to come out, but I am getting the strong message that your message is complete. So thank you so much for tuning in today, beautiful pile 2. I can't wait to hear about what unfolds from your journey. I am feeling called to do one more card as a way to close out your reading from The Energy Oracle by Sandra Ann Taylor. Because I was going such full steam with your reading that it felt really abrupt to just suddenly end it. But I also got a really strong message of, yeah, that's it. That's everything that I needed to hear. So we're just going to pull one card. Oh, beautiful. So the card that I pulled after a quick shuffle and splitting the deck is First Chakra Archangel Michael, or Mikhail, or Mikhail, depending on how you pronounce that name. And this is such a wonderful, wonderful message on so many levels. One, it's affirming that first chakra has everything to do with safety, survival, groundedness, rootedness. That has to do with your relationship with the outside world and with other people, and your ability to find safe relationship with other people. So this whole process that you're undergoing is one where you are discovering your ability to protect yourself and stand up for yourself, and that it's possible to actually be yourself and be authentic and be safe at the same time, which is just such an incredible, I'm so proud of you, Pile 2, for doing this. There's some noise outside from some yard work or construction or something, so I do hope that's not too noisy through the microphone. And then Archangel Michael or Michael is one of our biggest protectors in the realm of spirit guides and of angels. A fierce protector, a stalwart, steady protector you can count on. It's interesting that this card chooses to use red to go with the first chakra. Michael usually comes through with a very striking blue light, very much like blue kyanite, one of my favorite crystals. That's a very similar energy in this crystal to Michael's sword in the energetic realm. So if that is a crystal you are drawn to, you may want to explore meditating on its frequency, or meditating with the physical stone if you're able to get your hands on some. And that blue, of course, is related to the liberation of the throat chakra, like we've been talking about with speaking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, and expressing your truth. No one's expecting you to be perfect at this on the first try. There's no prize for getting to there's no end of the race here, and therefore no prize for getting to the end of the race fastest, because there's absolutely no end to uncovering parts of your infinite self. So there's a really strong message here to just don't worry about that. Don't worry about getting to the end or getting to some sort of finished state. Just keep on returning to the North Star of unfolding more and more of your authentic self and what really matters to you when it feels like it's a mystery. How to express yourself and what to say and what to do and who to trust, returning to the clear grounding principles of what really matters to you and the things that make you feel safe, so that you can build that resilience and calmness and soothing and regulation in your nervous system, from which you can explore as incrementally or as rapidly and fiercely as you want to. You are protected, and you are learning how to protect yourself, and you will bring protection and energy and spark and inspiration to others in the process. And that is such a gift to the world. You have no idea the ripple effects that you can and will have by guarding yourself fiercely, protecting and standing up for yourself and others fiercely, and by sweetly tending to the garden of all the parts of yourself with such sweet, loving, tender care. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for embarking on this journey and doing this work. It truly does affect the world so much more than you possibly could wrap your head around, just like the butterfly effect. And look at that, on the back of the deck we have door to personal healing and happiness, which is exactly what you are walking through. The peace from that white dove, the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end, the treasure inside, not a prize at the end of a race. And those beautiful infinite petaled lotuses growing up out of the mud of the fertile grounds of your life exactly as it is now, no matter how mucky the past or any confusion in the present might feel. This is where you are. You are already at, or potentially even through, this doorway, and you are doing amazing, pile 2. Thank you so much. Happy fall. I'm recording this on Halloween, so you won't see it until after Halloween, but happy Halloween, happy All Souls Day, happy All Saints Day. Thank you for joining me and the forces beyond the veil for their messages that they had for you today. I am so thrilled to like energetically meet you, because the world truly needs those of us who are already on this journey need you. And I am so happy you're here. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Welcome, beautiful pile 3, to your reading today. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing frequency 27, the higher purpose in reverse. So before we dive into other tarot and oracle cards, I'm going to read the descriptions from the frequency tarot guidebook for the higher purpose card. The description for drawing the card in reverse says, if you have drawn this card in reverse, your inspiration is currently diminished. You have been prioritizing what you have to do more than what you want to do. The effort and struggle in your life is holding you out of alignment with your soul. And because of this, you are not in alignment with your higher purpose. It is time to care about how you feel. Your compass will never take you north if you do not follow it north. It is telling you where north is, whether you listen to it or not. But your compass in this life is the way you feel. What would you still do if you had all the money in the world? Your purpose cannot be separate from your joy. A life lived for things you have to do is not a life worth living. So prioritize the things you want to do instead. And I think the description for pulling this card upright actually offers us some great advice for, okay, so how do I start moving more in the direction of what I want? Especially when that advice can sound a little hollow if you feel that all of your time is spent making money. You might feel like at first you can't really necessarily pursue the things you want to do instead of the things you have to do. But how can you break up the feelings of effort and struggle in your life with more time spent investing in things that actually do bring you joy? I think that's going to be the theme for your reading today. So for some food for thought in that direction, the booklet for drawing this card upright says, if you have drawn this card upright, the first step in finding meaningful purpose in every aspect of your life is to open the door to the aspect of you which chose into this life in the first place, your eternal non-physical self. If you are unintentionally cut off from your awareness of this side of yourself, this will sound like a tall order, but it is really as easy as this. Be brave enough to acknowledge and accept what it is that you truly feel passionate about, what it is that makes you feel happy. What makes you feel passion? When you are feeling joy or passion, it is because you have found resonance with that aspect of yourself, the soul that chose to come into this life, and thus you are in alignment with your higher purpose. Your purpose with respect to what you are meant to be doing here in this life will literally fall into your lap when you commit to living life at the mercy of your own passion and joy. Wow. And I'm sure that concept that our soul chose into this specific human life could be controversial. There are many, many different spiritual and religious beliefs about souls and incarnations and reincarnation, and it can be very difficult to even entertain, much less swallow, the idea that we might have chosen this life when this life is feeling very, very difficult and painful, and that's something I do want to honor and respect. You might feel like you are at the mercy of a lot of forces that you did not choose. So this brings us again, though, back to that point of, well, what choices do I have in this moment, and how can I make those choices in alignment with the ideas that this passage brings forward to us, the ideas of passion and joy? How can I infuse my life with more of those, even in tough times? And that is the question that I want to pose for your group with the other tarot and oracle cards today. So I'm going to place this one right over here in the sunlight. And I'm going to start with the Unfolding Path Tarot. And I'm going to shuffle this here. So Spirit Guides, we're asking for some guidance and some help today for Group 3, Pile 3, for how they can bring forth more passion and joy into their life. What do they need to know? What might be potentially blocking this for them? Or what hidden opportunities or gifts might they not be noticing? What can we offer Pile 3, Group 3 today to help them with this journey? Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have the Five of Cups. You can see the face on that, the disappointment, almost betrayal, let down. A feeling of hopelessness is really majorly coming from this card. And on the Four of Cups next to it, they have this similar aura of the darkness of hopelessness and powerlessness really emanating from them. But with this Four of Cups card, you can see these sprinkles of hope rising from this cup of maybe opportunity or something else that they haven't noticed yet. This figure hasn't noticed yet that there is something coming to lift them or their situation, bring some more lightness and light into the situation. So let's see what else we have here. We have the Three of Cups. Wow. That is quite the sequence. The Chariot, beautiful. Strength, those two coming out right next to each other, and underneath these cards of such despair is just a beautiful and powerful thing to see. The Knight of Cups and the Nine of Cups. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, look at all these cups. We have the Page of Cups and the Ten of Cups as well. Wow. Wow. Let's just shift everything over a little bit here while still giving the cards enough space. I'm really touched to see that this is a message of such hope for you, pile 3. Really touched to see that. In fact, I just felt this movement within me to place my heart on my chest. My hand on my heart. And then I looked down and saw the Knight of Cups in that same position. And those little angel wings. I've never noticed those on this card before. And that is just incredible to see that parallel between this cup here and this cup here is really standing out for me. I didn't even notice the hand holding this cup the first time I looked at this card. And I think similarly, the same way this figure isn't noticing the hope, the opportunity, or even the person who might bring that hope or opportunity in, whatever this opportunity or this person is going to take you by surprise, most likely. I feel like they're an angel that has just dropped out of the heavens, seemingly out of nowhere. And with this coming, the Knight does often represent a person. It doesn't have to. It can be a part of yourself. It can be an opportunity that is not one individual person. But especially with it coming out right under the Three of Cups, which represents friendship, gathering, community, celebration in community, I do have a very strong feeling from that juxtaposition and from the feeling in my heart from spirit that there will be a person or people, potentially multiple people with the Three of Cups, who bring you unexpected help. And I'm hearing a message, feeling a message, and seeing from these cards here to not be afraid to ask for help either. There is more potential for support in your community and in the people around you than you might realize when you are looking at the darkness of the situation around you or of the feelings inside you. The cups are representative of the water element, and that is deeply tied to our emotions. So there is a really strong sense that the predicament you are in, it may be deeply affecting your emotions. It certainly is, but it may also be primarily an emotional challenge or difficulty. Depending on the person, it could be a little bit of both. For some people who chose this pile, there could be elements of both an internal conflict or challenge or disappointment or hopelessness and an external circumstance that is creating that feeling or making it feel very difficult. There was a feeling of being very stuck and trapped. And often there are external circumstances that do create those feelings. But there is a message in these cards with all these cups, all these emotions, and with all of this all of these rays of hope bleeding into the darkness of the hopelessness through other people in many cases, that there is a message there that all is not lost nor as bleak as it seems, that some of the emotional challenges will start to break up and feel less stuck and solid. I'm getting the image of ice thawing and breaking up into chunks on the surface of a lake in spring. When you turn towards the light and go towards the people who make you feel warm, who make you feel lightness, there may be aspects of your situation that are not changed by that, but your power to work with those aspects and those circumstances will start to feel real to you and become apparent to you. There are sirens going by that you might be able to hear, and I feel that as confirmation, almost like a help is on the way type of thing. It reminds me, actually, what's coming to mind is the Mr. Rogers quote of his mother always telling him to look for the helpers. That was something that he said. I don't know if it was in an interview or in a different circumstance, but he said that his mother growing up always told him in any bleak scenario to look for the helpers, in any emergency situation, any devastating situation, to look for the helpers, find the people helping, because it will remind you that there is hope and there is goodness even in the darkest situations, that there are, even when people have hurt each other devastatingly, there are people who are in the very same situation who are seeking to help rather than abandoning the wounded or causing the wounding. So there's a strong message here for you to look for the helpers in your life and turn towards them. There's also a message, as I turn towards the Chariot and the Strength card, to, at the same time as seeking those people outside of yourself, to also seek that aspect of yourself. Remind yourself of times in the past when you have been stronger than you thought you could be, stronger than the situation that seemed hopeless or that made you feel powerless. And remind yourself, perhaps by helping others, that is another way that you can seek community and support, is by doing something, whether it's a small random act of kindness to a coworker or a classmate, or whether you actually go and volunteer with a group, or just simply make polite, kind conversation with people at the grocery store or out on your hiking trail. Seeking to be someone who lifts other people up in a situation can sometimes break through those clouds of gloom for yourself, get you back in touch with that sense of power of, wait a second, there is something I can do, actually. I may not be able to change what has already happened, but there is something I can do to shift what I'm moving towards, to align myself with my true north. Going forward, I can shift the outcomes of my situations. And the Chariot is such a fast-moving, forward-moving, direct action type of energy. A nothing can stand in my way type of energy. So at the same time, the Strength card reminds us of all the strength in the gestures that may seem small, the strength in gentleness and compassion, the ability to befriend lions rather than whip them into submission. There's this sense that connecting with community, connecting with your ability to lift someone else up and asking for help as well, both sides of that same coin, can individually or together be a key that unlocks this just to gush of forward movement. Not even just progress, but almost feeling like an avalanche, like once you've unlocked it, you couldn't stop it if you tried. And I also see that reflected in how we start with this sense of stuckness in the 5 and 4 of Cups, but then once you reach the Three of Cups in our sequence of cards, suddenly it's like this cascade into a crescendo of cups. Happens uncontrollably in the rest of your sequence of cards. It's like, oh, the Three of Cups came out first, and then the Chariot and Strength. So it's like by tapping into even just one other person, even if you feel completely alone, one situation where you can find a sense of community and mutual support, of helping someone else or asking for help. Tapping into that will unlock that Chariot and Strength and lead to this gush of blessings. One of the trademark characteristics of the Page of Cups, which is also reflected in the Knight of Cups here, is these fish in the water in a cup. And it raises this idea of unlimited potential. Because how on earth did a fish end up in a cup? That's not a fish's habitat. The fish's habitat is water, but not usually water in a cup. And there's this common theme in interpreting these cards about not limiting your imagination, not limiting what you think is possible. Because this cup that you don't even see right now might have a goldfish in it. And figuring out what to do with the goldfish in the cup might lead you somewhere completely unexpected. Or the goldfish might, of course, be a metaphor for some other type of gold or light. The Nine of Cups and Ten of Cups definitely bring a sense of wish fulfillment. Ten of Cups being the ultimate emotional happiness, the ultimate sense of not only community but family. Nine of Cups and Nine of Pentacles are often seen as a sense of independence. Independent, the ability to feel a sense of independent abundance and prosperity. But there's also great prosperity represented in the wealth of fruits and vegetables, the grapes, the pumpkin, symbols of an abundant harvest, especially beautiful at this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, this time of harvest in the fall when I'm recording this. We also see the flowers of spring with what I was talking about earlier, with the light of spring dawning through the darkness of this gloom. I'd like to clarify the 9 and 10 of Cups a little bit, because they really suggest the feelings here of this going beyond even what we might have thought was possible. Where am I going to place these? We might have only thought, when you're in this dark situation, you might feel like even just a little ray of sunshine, even just a little bit, that's all I can hope for, that's all I can ask for. But these really suggest, they really point at the other side of this darkness that you can't see past right now. They really suggest that unfolding into a greater blossom than you could possibly imagine right now. And that might seem too good to be true. So I want a little bit of clarification to ground that in reality, what we can really do here. And the two cards that came out right away are the 8 and 9 of Pentacles. I'm going to pull some more as well, but I am blown away by the beauty of the imagery in these cards, especially the 9 of Pentacles. I am shocked and delighted that came out when I mentioned it in conjunction with the 9 of Cups earlier. And that angel peacock, the white peacocks are known as angel peacocks and said to have incredible blessing powers and healing powers just from being in their presence or touching a feather of theirs. So there is this echoing again of this angel. Pardon me, my video cut out there for a second, but there is this strong echoing from the angel peacock of the angelic imagery in the Knight of Cups, and not just an echoing, this is a much stronger image of like, yes, you actually do have angelic support, angelic guidance. You have so much more blessing available to you from the spirit realm and from the people around you than you could possibly imagine. Peacocks, of course, are also a symbol of abundance, which we're seeing strongly with the blossoms and the coins in the Nine of Pentacles, which is often seen as like a businessman or entrepreneur card, a sign of independent abundance, like I mentioned with the Nine of Cups. The Eight of Pentacles is a card of study, of diligence. So what I see with these two together and in conjunction with the rest of your reading is similar to that message I mentioned before about something, a gesture that seems small, being very significant and unlocking a flow for you. So putting in a little bit of effort will create momentum towards rewards beyond what you would think is proportionate to that effort. And the way the sun came through feels like very strong confirmation of that light at the end of the tunnel and of the universe meeting you. We sow the seeds, we water the crops, but if it weren't for the sun, what good would it do? The universe is going to meet you with the sunlight that you need to bring your hard work to fruition and to find ways to apply yourself in a way that actually brings you joy and doesn't feel like you're just draining yourself for very little reward. This is like a reversing of a downward spiral. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. Feeling drawn to put that right there, which does represent this potentially being a new beginning for you. Whatever it is that you feel called to put a little bit of effort into, whatever connections you form, might be pre-existing ones, whatever it is that you decide to put a little bit of focus and work into, might be something that's already in your life that then leads to, unexpectedly, a new journey. But it might also be something you've never done before, a class you've never taken before, a group you've never volunteered with before, a church you've never been to before. The volunteer group is actually getting a strong resonance and nod of affirmation from my spirit guides that something like that you do, not expecting it to have any sort of return beyond simply making you feel good. Back to that message from the higher purpose card, something that you do simply expecting it to make you feel better because it feels good to help someone, or it feels good to connect with someone and ask for help, or it feels good to put work into something like, for example, this dancer who is clearly putting hard work into her craft, but also in a position where that stretch looks like it probably hurts real good. So you're doing something because even though this thing that you're doing takes effort, it feels good. And even though it feels good, it does take some effort. And because that is the direction you are focusing your effort in, it aligns you more with your higher purpose and more with a flow in the direction of more nourishing emotional connections and fulfillment and more prosperity in other areas of life. We also have the Magician here, and that affirms that positive direction of the flow that you can tap into with this bit of effort, because the Magician is able to transmute anything. The Magician is a figure, an archetype who taps into alignment with the flow of the universe, alignment with their soul, higher self, higher purpose, so that anything that crosses their path can also be transmuted, sometimes by their very presence, and sometimes with a little more effort. But the more practice you put in, the more it feels like by your very presence, by your mere coming into contact with the things that come into your life, they become transmuted into part of this infinite flow and into this starlight that we see not only in the Magician card, but also in the Page 3 and 4 of Cups and in the Knight of Cups and some of these other cards as well. There's this sense of tapping into this power that is so much greater than the individual self, causing you to align with your personal power, and that making you feel infinite. You are able to feel that alignment with the infinite eternal self. Wow. I can feel this message winding down. We're going to grab a couple more tarot cards here. Oh, this is so beautiful. We have the 7 and the 6 of Wands. I see this, first of all, the wand is representative of the fire element, and we've had an awful lot of water in here with a little bit of fire from the Chariot and Strength, but there's also a lot of other elements going on in these major arcana. Some air as well as fire and earth. And we've had a little bit of earth, some grounding of these dreams and hopes in reality by the Pentacle cards, which was what I was asking for when I asked for that clarification. But this shows me your spark and your fire getting reignited. Look at this, that sense of personal power in these figures, that sense of victory and accomplishment and triumph. And there's almost this sense of the figure in the 7 of Wands daring the figures outside of the screen, so to speak, outside of the image, and daring them, kind of like, come at me, bro. Like, you think you can take me? You've seen what I've overcome. And you think you can threaten that? I don't think so. Look how strong I've become. Look how fierce I am now. After what got me down before and I overcame that, I phoenixed, I rebirthed out of my own fire from that. I don't think so. The 6 of Wands precedes the 7 of Wands. It shows someone reaching a victory where they receive acclaim, sometimes even popularity. They receive recognition. And the 7 of Wands is a figure who's in a stance of defending that position. So this really represents the victory that you come to, being recognized by the people around you, and you solid in that grounding in your ability to overcome and in your connections with your community. Being able to face challenges from then on from a much more grounded and less shakeable, dare I even say unshakable, stance within yourself. There's a real sense of like, you feel lost now, you feel tumbled by the seas and the storms now. But if you ask for help and turn towards the part of yourself that can give help, as well as turning towards your community, and you find little things here and there that you can pour focus and effort into that feel good to you, that feel like they are feeding you and not just draining you, those things will snowball until you reach a victory. They'll snowball into more momentum, more flow, in alignment with receiving. They'll snowball into a sense of trust, of being able to relax into the arms of the universe, into the flow of your life, and know that, yeah, even when a wave knocks me down, it doesn't really knock me down. Because internally, my faith in myself and my trust in myself and in perhaps my community is not shaken. It might knock me down for a little bit, but inside, underneath the emotional turmoil, underneath the doubts, there is a place within me and within my community where I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I am this victorious warrior, this undefeated champion of my own life. Wow, what a powerful message. I don't think my voice can convey properly the full extent of the awe and reverence towards anyone who can face these challenges head on and go from this place of really feeling underneath the rubble of the debris of the storms of their life and really actually save themselves. I really want to applaud you and give you your flowers, even if it seems premature, pile 3, because this is no mean feat, no easy task, but you are clearly more than up for it. And it's okay if right now it seems overwhelming. It's okay to rest. It's more than okay. It's part of the process of finding that gentle strength within yourself, is turning that compassion towards yourself and allowing yourself to be the one who receives, who lets your cup be filled up by the Three of Cups and the knights and pages in your life. I love the look of delighted surprise on the page's face. It's not only the surprise at the fish, but also the surprise that I imagine many of us feel when someone else actually does pour into our cup, when we ask for help and it is actually met. When, after a long, hard season of toiling over the fields, those flowers actually start to bloom. When the angelic help does come through for us after we've prayed or asked the universe for a sign, asked our spirit guides to help us. And the elemental signs in the Magician just caught my eye and reminded me of how I was talking about the water and going from feeling like you're drowning to relighting that spark inside you. That synthesis of all elements into the eternal, infinite flow. The energy never being created or destroyed, but always, always in a flow of transmutation and transformation. That tapping into that flow is part of how you are going to become someone who is undefeatable and indefatigable, because you're going to see that because you take the compassion and the kindness and the time and the space. It does take time to turn that tenderness and care and compassion towards yourself and keep your flame, whether it's a candle or a massive roaring bonfire, to keep it lit. And that by doing that, you are going to be, and by allowing other people to help protect your flame too, you are going to be able to draw on that fire to transform any element it comes into contact with. And you're going to be unstoppable. And you already are. You already are. No matter how weak you feel right now, this strength is already inside you. The fact that you haven't given up yet. Maybe there are certain things you do need to give up on. Ooh, the deck just fell out of my hands while I was shuffling in my hands. Maybe there are certain things you do need to give up on. Maybe you're in a spot right now where it feels like, just like the cards out of my hands, the plates you've been juggling have fallen and broken. Maybe you feel like you have given up. It's okay to give up on trying to fix the past and fix what's already happened. It's okay to give up on trying to maintain a facade of perfection. The higher purpose description we read talked about shifting your energy into what you actually really want, what gives you joy, what gives you passion, what really matters to you. It's okay to give up on what doesn't matter to you. It's okay to give up on what's already broken instead of continuing to try to fix it. It's okay to give up on pretending. It's okay. And sometimes just admitting that that's where you are is in fact actually the first thing you need to do. Let yourself break down and grieve and have that night of crying yourself to sleep even, so that, not even so that, but knowing that that's not the end. That might be the end of something that you have given up on, or a chapter in your life, or a version of yourself that you feel is dying and that you have to mourn. The phoenix does transform completely. Every single cell of its previous body is burned to ash, and still it rises out of the fire. If it feels like a version of yourself is dying, and it really truly does feel that deep for some of you who might be watching this, if it feels like everything you've ever known is lost, that is still not the end, because you are still here. You cannot unspill what has been spilled in these cup cards here. And it's okay if it feels like your life is over. because some things are over, but your life is not. Let yourself feel those emotions. Let yourself reach out and tap into your TLC for yourself. And start, as you get little glimpses through your tears, through the grief, start to ask, maybe I can't think ahead farther than the next few minutes. Maybe I'm not ready to ask what next, but I can ask what now. What would make me feel a little better right now? What can I see myself doing that might feel like relief? And those little glimpses are going to unlock this powerful cascade that I've been describing, that Spirit has been describing through this reading. So if all of that feels out of reach and untouchable right now, do not lose hope. Let yourself break down. Let yourself let go of everything that's broken and hold on to just that one golden shining thread of hope, knowing that it will lead you out of this darkness. Thank you so much, Pile 3. Truly thank you for doing the work to bring your life from shadow to light and bring that light to others. I cannot thank you enough. I believe in you. I know that whatever you are going through is temporary. And of course, do not be afraid, as part of reaching out to your community, to seek professional help as well. Sometimes we really need that objective perspective from someone who is a medical professional to shine light into what feels like a very dark and impenetrable situation. Some professionals are very, very good at that, very expert at that. And I thank you so much for being here today. My thoughts and prayers, as trite as that may sound, are very much with you. I hope this message has brought you some hope and comfort. And I hope that when I see you in the next reading, you will feel some sense of shift and progress and change and transformation from the situation that's got you down now. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.